All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. And it is Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for Wednesday Wisdom. Wisdom of the Ages, ladies and gentlemen, reading from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer's Wisdom of the Ages and 60 Days to Enlightenment. But of course, it's been much longer than 60 days, ladies and gentlemen. It's been almost 10 months since we started this wonderful journey together, but you can see how close we are to the end. And do not worry, ladies and gentlemen, for even though we only have 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 of these episodes left, I just got this in the mail, Pulling Your Own Strings by Dr. Wayne W. Dyer. More than 3 million copies sold, it says, dynamic techniques for dealing with other people and living your life as you choose. Ladies and gentlemen, how does that sound? Stop being the victim. Wayne reveals how we can all prevent ourselves from being victimized by others and begin to operate from a position of power at the center of our own lives, ladies and gentlemen. So that should be a fun journey. And this one looks like it's in a whole different format than what we've been used to. Fascinating. There's even these victim or victor, and it gives responses, like right here, number 66 on page 248. This is just for example here in the book Pulling Your Own Strings by Wayne Dyer, which I'll have to start getting a link for this one so we can link that in the description below. But we've still got about 8 or 9 or 10 episodes of Wisdom of the Ages to go, ladies and gentlemen. But here's it says you need one onion at the grocery store, but all the onions are in 3-pound bags. I experienced this at work, ladies and gentlemen. The victim response says you either get no onions or buy 3 pounds, which you don't need. The non-victim response says you break open a bag and take the one onion you want to buy. And being a grocery store clerk, ladies and gentlemen, I know that the produce people would be just fine with breaking open a bag for you. So these are simple, practical examples of victim versus non-victim mentality. So you're either the victim, like, oh, I either can get 0 onions or buy all these onions that I don't need, but it's, there's nothing I can do about it, and the world's just beating me up, and I'm the victim, versus you break open a bag and take the one onion you need. Nobody's a victim. You're just proceeding forward from a position and operating from a position of power at the center of your own life, asserting that we alone are responsible for how much we are controlled by others. Hope you're excited for that one, ladies and gentlemen, because I know I am. I love it when I get a new book in the mail. I wish I could go to more bookstores around here, but really, they just don't have the kind of books that I'm looking for. It's hard to find Wayne here and there, but I did find him one time at an antique store that happened to have a book of, that's the book we've been reading, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. I found that book in real life just by happen chance at an antique store. But today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, probably already 5 minutes in, is independence. We're talking about independence today, ladies and gentlemen, because last Wednesday we talked about individuality, which came to us from not only Wayne Dyer and myself, but from a poem that was from E. Cummings. And he talked about all the little crumbs, the shoulds, woulds, and coulds, and those kind of things. And if you missed that one, please go back and check out the previous episode on the Wisdom of the Age playlist, ladies and gentlemen. Now, today's topic, independence, comes to us from a poem from the one and only Robert Frost, ladies and gentlemen. He lived 1874 to 1963. What a time period to live in. The recipient of many Pulitzer Prizes, Robert Frost is renowned for his poetic landscapes of rural America and of the human soul, ladies and gentlemen. And so, without any further ado, let's dive right into this poem titled The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost and see what we can learn from this poem and then the extrapolations and ideas from Wayne Dyer about the idea of independence that we can learn from this poem. It begins, the road not taken. Two roads diverge into a yellow wood. And sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way. I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged into a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, that's a beautiful poem. Especially like Wayne was, or the description of it is renowned for his poetic landscapes of rural America. It's just so beautiful. You can see it in your mind clearly, these two roads that go off with a forest in between and on each side and twist at the end so you can't see all the way down, but one of them is traveled. And the other one has been less traveled because it was more grassy and wanted wear. And so at the end, he says, I kept the first for another day. In leaves no step had trodden black, yet knowing way leads on to way. And so he says he took the one less traveled. I shall be telling this with a sigh, he says. I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think this can tell us about the idea of independence? Maybe the fact that he was being independent in his choice to choose the road that was less traveled. And that what was made, what it was that made all the difference, ladies and gentlemen. Let's dive into what Wayne Dyer has to say about this beautiful poem from Robert Frost and this idea about independence. When Frost writes of taking the road less traveled by, he speaks to something far more transcendent, Wayne begins, than merely picking the less busy byway at a fork in the road. The two roads diverging in the woods, and Frost's contemplation, I doubted if I should ever come back, say in effect, I only have one chance here. I can't take one road, and when it doesn't work out, come back and try the second. He knows that he has a choice, and the criterion he uses to make his decision is his instinct. That's fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. I was just talking about intuition yesterday, those gut feelings that we get and trusting our higher selves, or that part of us that we get those gut feelings from before we start to second guess and debate with our lower ego mind. But let us continue. His decision in his instinct, which prompts him to take the less traveled road. He says, I read in this poem advice that applies in all areas of our lives. To me, Wayne says, Frost says, be weary of following the pack and don't do anything simply because everyone else is doing it. Also do what you do in the manner that you perceive it. This is so funny. This goes exactly what we were just reading in that little bit of the pulling your own strings that we began with. But this bit about also it's like, don't do anything simply because everyone else is doing it. Also, do what you do in the manner that you perceive it, regardless of how everyone else is doing it or has always done it. In the last stanza of this, perhaps the most enduring of Robert Frost's poems, this valuable life lesson, ladies and gentlemen, about living our lives by choosing our own path, is underscored with the poetic conclusion that a life lived in this manner makes all the difference. This is a deep one, ladies and gentlemen. This is a powerful one already. If you're getting value, be sure to leave a comment that says yes and smash that like button. My wife, Wayne continues, and I are the parents of 8 wonderful children. Our chief concern, I'm sure many of you are going, woo, 8 children. My parents had 6, and that was a handful, ladies and gentlemen. 6, wait a minute. Me and my brother and my 2 sisters. 4, I'm over-exaggerating. Over-exaggerating, but you know how it goes. But anyways, our chief concern is to help them to develop their own sense of purpose in life. Not a sense of purpose that has been given to them by somebody else. I felt it was important for me to add that, distinct from what Wayne was saying there. But our chief concern is to help them to develop, Wayne continues, their own sense of purpose in life, while doing all that we can to keep them out of harm's way. Each day we hear stories of young people who have become victims of such horrors as drunken driving accidents and drug overdoses and criminal activities and other things that are often what we consider death sentences or life-ruining experiences. In discussing those kinds of issues with our children and their friends, we often hear the words, everybody does it. We hear terms like peer pressure and how it is only normal for young people to want to feel accepted by their peers. This goes back. It's so funny that I started this reading about independence, which is starting to have to deal with victim versus non-victim mentality, and I opened this with reading from Pulling Your Own Strings about being a non-victim. In that simple example with the onion. And there's no single onions, but there's only 3-pound bags, and most people would feel defeated by the world and either get a 3-pound bag or no onions at all and be angry. Or the non-victim just chooses to open the bag and take 1 onion. So this is getting into that in a whole different, a comparative way. And so we will hear this. No one, we are frequently told, wants to look like a dork, quote unquote, or not fit in. And I always remind them, Wayne says, of this poem, The Road Not Taken. Given that you simply cannot decide which path to take, ladies and gentlemen, and they both look inviting, then go with the poet's advice and take the one less traveled. And it will make all the difference in your life. If everyone seems to think that it is cool to drink and use drugs, and if you are undecided, take a different path, Wayne says. Choose the road that you and only you are going to traverse, and it will make all the difference. I feel I've done this in my own life with this weird pursuit of all of this interesting wisdom and spiritual and mystical and philosophical and psychological and conspiratorial and science, all of these different weird objects of pursuit that I've become so, passionate and fascinated with and love diving into. I really feel like it's the road less traveled now that he's putting it in these kind of ways, because it's not everybody that I encounter that is into all the kind of things that I'm into. It's more of a, not so common thing. But then there's the other road, like I'm into sports, and that's fine, and that's the most commonly traveled road, as to where there are some, anyways, we're getting off topic here, but you know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen. There are ways we can relate these things to our own lives and ourselves, and imagine taking the road less traveled, applying this independence and this going beyond the pressure that others can give to us to take the road that everyone else is taking. Now, choose the road that you and only you are going to traverse, and it will make all the difference. One reason, Wayne continues, peer pressure has such a powerful effect on young people is that we adults are victims of the same groupthink mentality. We often excuse youngsters because we have difficulty making a difference in our own lives. That's like the biggest sentence possible, ladies and gentlemen. If you were just come up to somebody and tell them one reason peer pressure has such a powerful effect on young people, instantly they'd be like, what? What are you talking about? Where is this coming from? You say, no, just listen. The reason this peer pressure has such a powerful effect on young people and our children is that we adults, the ones teaching them and showing them how to live in the world, are also victims of the same groupthink mentality. Like if we don't fit in, if we're not part of the tribe and part of the crowd, then our subconscious mind tells us we're going to be excommunicated from the tribe and the crowd and we're going to die. But there are no tigers, ladies and gentlemen. If that doesn't make sense, then what I'm saying is we've evolved very fast and our minds still live in this state. Like if we get kicked out of the tribe and nobody approves with what it is that we're doing, and we don't get the approval and the you know what I'm saying? We don't get that reinforcement or, anyways, what for young people is the no tigers, ladies. So you can see how my mind is going in 50 different directions. But there are no tigers in the sense that when we go out into the world, we don't have to worry about being eaten by tigers when we're in the civilized world, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if you're out in the jungle, then that's a different thing, of course. But where most of us live now in modern society, I love cardinals, by the way, there are no tigers, ladies and gentlemen. So we need to stop acting like there's tigers. And we have to realize that it's our subconscious minds because we in society have evolved a lot faster than our survival programming instincts. And so, this goes back to peer pressure and how we as adults are even victims of this same groupthink mentality. And we often excuse young people because we have difficulty making a difference in our own lives. That's why I'm so fascinated with all of this work, the wisdom of the ages and the wisdom of the Tao, and every other book and every other video that we're going to be doing on this channel about increasing the quality of our life, ladies and gentlemen, because there's so many of us that feel stuck and feel like we have difficulty making a difference in even our own lives. And so that's why I'm here, ladies and gentlemen, so I can show and I can teach and I can talk about and ramble about and dive real deep into how we can begin making a difference practically in our own lives for the better, ladies and gentlemen. And so if that's something you're interested in, then I consider that you should consider subscribing and share this with somebody that you think is also interested in this. Now, producing, Wayne continues, this collection of essays based on the creative offerings of so many great souls over the course of recorded history has been an eye-opener for me. He's describing his creation of this book here, The Wisdom of the Ages, being just a huge collection of a whole bunch of the best authors and poets and mystics and wisdom teachers of the ages, mostly from the 1700s till now. But, he's saying producing this incredible collection of these creative offerings by so many great souls over the course of history has been very eye-opening. And it can be, like when you look at these things, ladies and gentlemen, that most people don't look at when we begin taking the road less traveled. Once again, I already have no idea what I'm going to title this one. It happens every time. But it's like, before writing, Wayne says, what I believe the poet or the writer is saying to us today I read that all that I could find about their lives and the choices they made in their own times. Virtually all these people we revere took the road less traveled by. And that is why they were able to make a difference. There's a shirt for you. The people that make a difference in the world take the road less traveled. Frost himself, Robert Frost, was expected to be a farmer, a lawyer, and then a teacher. He tried farming and left it. You can imagine he probably didn't like it that much. He entered law school to be the lawyer his grandfather wanted him to be, but departed almost immediately without notice. You can imagine he probably didn't like it that much. And this is what other people wanted him to be. And so he left Harvard, his position at Harvard, because an illness, perhaps brought on by trying the road most traveled. But poetry was always in his heart, ladies and gentlemen. What's always been in your heart? And when he went down a road that few traveled with him, it made all the difference. And today we have his poetry because of that choice. Because of similar choices, we have the music of Mozart and the paintings of Michelangelo, ladies and gentlemen, and the sculptures of the ancient Greeks and the great Tartarian Empire and the remaining infrastructure. It goes into many different subjects, ladies and gentlemen, that we can look back on our past and history that we haven't learned much about with great wonder and awe. If you've yet to get into those subjects, check out the playlist on my channel entitled Star Forts, Mud Floods, Tartaria, and the like. Do-do-do-do-do. See, that's a segue. Now, continuing, if you're getting value, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to leave a comment that says yes and smash that like, because the like button tells the algorithm to show this video to more people. And we know more people than 23 will like this video in the world, ladies and gentlemen. So let's do our part, shall we? Now, Frost's poem invites you to forget peer pressure, Wayne says, and instead know that if you truly want to make a difference in your life, you can do so by doing things the way nobody else does. What? There must be a prince. Okay, here we go. I'm going to reread this. I did a little dyslexia there. You cannot do so. If you want to truly make a difference in your life and forget peer pressure, you cannot do so by doing things the way everyone else does, or even because everyone else is doing it. If you choose to lead your life just like everyone else, then what exactly is it that you have to offer to the world? Because everyone else is all doing that kind of thing as well. And this doesn't mean if you want to be an author and there's already 1,000 authors in the world that you can't be an author. That's a different perspective. We're talking about independence here, ladies and gentlemen, and taking your own path in the way that you can truly make a difference in your life. And so if you choose to lead your life just like everyone else, then what exactly is it you have to offer? The road most traveled by is one that will allow you to fit in, to feel accepted, and even become enculturated. But it will never allow you to make a difference. As you read all these enduring contributions from the great thinkers and great authors and poets and mystics and wonderful teachers from the wisdom of the ages, ladies and gentlemen, over the centuries, we are absorbing the wisdom of those who most frequently chose the road less traveled. It's just such a beautiful sentiment. I'm really loving this. I hope you are, ladies and gentlemen. The road less, we are absorbing the wisdom of those who most frequently throughout history are revered and chose the road less traveled. Their writing endured because they continued in spite of the criticism of those who chose the more common path, ladies and gentlemen. In my own professional work, Wayne says, I have been willing to speak and write about topics and ideas that were criticized by those on the more frequented road. In the beginning, the road I took, Wayne says, was filled with potholes and gravel. Great metaphor. Because for those of us that try to step out in the direction of our own dreams and endeavor to live a life that we have imagined and will eventually be met by a success unexpected in common hours, we find that in the beginning, the road is filled with potholes and gravel and bumps and things along the way that we have to learn to traverse. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, the road less traveled is usually not paved yet. And so maybe we can be the ones to begin. But anyways, yet my work, Wayne continues, has always come from that place I trust most, my own heart. And so despite the potholes and gravel and bumps and lack of pavement, he says, I persisted. As the years passed, the road became paved. See, I hadn't read that far, and I was just adding the paved idea because I was thinking of the grassy road from the poem that he took. And Wayne was right on the same page here. We're linking up, Wayne. I'm feeling you, man. Rest in peace, Dr. Wayne Dyer. He's made a huge impact on many people's lives, and I know he's here with us now, ladies and gentlemen, teaching this wisdom of the ages. Now, he says, as the years passed and the road became more paved and well lit. See, he was thinking of lanterns too. Now, many who once thought this was a preposterous path are walking it with me. And I often hear, I used to think those ideas were insane, but now I really like what you were saying then. And I hope I get to this point in my life because there's a lot of things I say to a lot of people that are just like, really? And they're like, huh? And I know eventually they'll remember, they'll be like, damn, Chase was on to something, folks. But it just wasn't quite, it all hadn't been amalgamated and put together yet. It was an unfinished puzzle. Metaphors. Anyways, I am happy to have experienced what Robert Frost was writing about. I am, but that is also what Wayne Dyer was saying here. Frost wrote of the common man and woman and the uncommon choices he or she can make when they follow their own intuition rather than the pack. What a great lesson for you, for me, ladies and gentlemen, and particularly for all of our children. I don't have any yet, but that's why I'm absorbing as much of this information as I can. So when I do get into that position, hopefully what I have to teach them, what I have to example to them is this great wisdom from the Tao and the wisdom of the ages and, you know, from all the greatest teachers throughout history. I encourage you, Wayne says. Well, he said, what a great lesson for us, particularly to pass to our children. He goes, I am one of those children, and we all are, ladies and gentlemen. We all were at one point. We all still may be in some funny way. But Wayne continues saying, now telling my children to take the road less traveled, I encourage you to know the pleasure of choosing your path. And telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Then I hope there will be more children in the world who become adults and know that it's never crowded along the extra mile. Isn't that a good one, ladies and gentlemen? It's never crowded along the extra mile. But you might be asking yourself, Chase and Wayne and Robert Frost, how can I put this great wisdom about individuality and independence, being independent, into action in our life? How can we begin using this practically today? Well, this is why you want to get this book for your shelf, and for yourself, ladies and gentlemen, so you can put it on your bookshelf. As you can see, I got stacks of books in the back over there. But anyways, the reason you want to get this is because at the end of each of these chapters, and not only change your thoughts, change your life, but the wisdom of the ages, Wayne has a practical way about how we can put these messages, this particular message, into action in our life and begin today to do these 4 things. And so get this, because there's always these references at the end of each of these chapters. If we're asking the question, how do we do this? Like, come on, this sounds great, but how the heck do I do this? So he says, to put this message into your life, begin today to, number one, let go of using the behavior or accomplishments of others as a means of validating your own life. Even if many others, even a majority, believe in one way, if you feel out of harmony with that group think, then validate yourself by taking the road your heart wants to follow. Number two, work hard at not using comparisons in your relationships. Expecting anyone else to conform to the standards and conform to the standards of others does not encourage self-esteem or individuality. Number three, listen to your own heart concerning the path you wish to travel. Even if your entire life training has been in one direction, if it is not what you feel now, then begin the adventure of exploring a less traveled road. The reward of self-sufficiency will far outweigh the practice of conformity. That's a powerful sentence right there, ladies and gentlemen. The reward of self-sufficiency and following your own path will far outweigh the practice of falling into line and the practice of conformity. And number four, ladies and gentlemen, remind yourself, as Robert Frost does in his poem, that it is most unlikely that you will get a second chance to come back and travel a path that you really wanted to try, but didn't because it was the road less traveled. Boom to knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. That was a fantastic delivery. I hope you're picking up what was being put down there by Dr. Wayne Dyer and Robert Frost, and a little bit of myself included. And to go from last week's individuality right into independence, this was just so fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, I have no idea what I'm going to title. It's like, if you truly want to make a difference in your life, how to choose your own life path and begin making a real difference. Hopefully I can remember that and I'll just write it down now so I don't forget, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't mind. In the meantime, smash that like button and start leaving a comment. Let me know what you thought about this one, because this was so fascinating. I got a little finishing comment here, but what was it? If you really want to change your life, something like that. That's what I always title these videos, though. If you really want to make a difference, right here, if you truly want to make a difference in your life, so how to choose your destiny or your life path. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? How to choose your, I'm just going to put in quotes, path. How to choose your path and begin to have an impact or make a difference. Make a difference? Let's see. All right. Maybe we'll work with that, ladies and gentlemen, and see what happens. Now, that was just incredible, ladies and gentlemen. And this is perfect for when it comes to the keys for manifesting, because I'm also obsessed with the idea of having a connection to the force, to the universe, to God, to, nature, harmony, and then having a harmony with that force, with that harmony, if that makes any sense, and then having an ability to use that connection and that flowing, that, detachment from outcomes and independent of the good opinion of others, which was what this lesson was all about, and having that ability to choose the road less traveled in your life and begin to create your life on purpose. Begin to create the life that you want to live, ladies and gentlemen. See, our notes are perfect. Keep taking notes. If you're listening to all of these videos and not taking notes, maybe I suggest it's a good idea. The life, sorry about the wiggling, you want. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, continue to seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment. Continue to seek to discover the wisdom of the ages, ladies and gentlemen, because there is just that. There is a wisdom that used to be hidden, but now is totally available for all of us with the abilities we have to research and study through the wide variety of accessible points of information. I got off my great finishing there, ladies and gentlemen, but you know what I mean. There is a way now that we can find and study and discover the wisdom of the ages. So seek to achieve and maintain happiness. Seek to discover the wisdom of the ages and begin to make happiness the way, ladies and gentlemen, because there is no way to happiness, because happiness is the way. And once we realize that, we can begin bringing happiness to life as the process. Then the goal, or the thing that we've always been telling ourselves, I'll be happy when I get there, becomes irrelevant because we're already there where we want it to be. And the entire journey becomes wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much. I love and appreciate everybody that spends time here with me and Dr. Wayne Dyer and all the wonderful authors and poets in the wisdom of the ages, and Lao Tzu from the wisdom of the Tao and the Tao Te Ching. And I'm looking forward to pulling your own strings and pulling our own strings in the future, ladies and gentlemen, and learning how to no longer be a victim and become independent and advance in the direction of our own dreams and endeavors and start to live the life that we have imagined. Doesn't it sound beautiful, ladies and gentlemen? We can do it. It doesn't matter how late it is, how early, we can do it. And it just begins with a little practice and a little study. All right, ladies and gentlemen, love you so much. Be sure to expand the description below. I have my landscape paintings linked there, linked to my Etsy shop. They're all great price, under $100, maybe except for one or two. But also, there's a link down there to the book and probably the audio book as well if you like to listen instead of read yourself. And as well as a link to C60 Purple Power, the most powerful antioxidant known to man. And that's something I've been taking for a few years now. I love it, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, thank you so much. Love to all of you. And we'll be back next week with some more Tuesday Dow. And we'll be doing short videos in between now and then, ladies and gentlemen. So be sure to tune in for some of those 60-second videos, little clips of these great 30 minute to hour long videos. And so once again, thank you. Love you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week.